So let us see a few more question and answers descriptive in software engineering. Explain the risk refinement. What is refinement? The process of restating the risk as a set of more detailed risks that will be easier to mitigate, monitor, and manage. CTC, that is condition transition consequence format. This may be a good representation for the detailed risk. Let me tell you what risk is and what refinement. What we mean here is that we have a risk. Say technology will change. Okay, technology. Now this is a very wide perspective. Technology, but we need to have this one risk or any few risks into. We need to make it more detailed just to mitigate, monitor, and manage them. For this, we use condition transition sequence format. That may be good representation for the detailed risk. For example, given that the condition there, then there is a concern. That is possibility the consequence. So condition has certain consequence. So reusable software components, this must conform to specific design standards, and that some do not conform, and then there is a concern that only 70% of the planned reusable modules will actually be integrated into as built system, resulting in the need to custom engineer the remaining 30% of components. So if we take this example, this is an example, or this is a statement. So what can be the general condition which can be refined in this following manner? Let me read it again for you. Reusable software component must conform to specific design standards, and that some do not conform. And then there is the concern that only 70% of the planned reusable modules may be actually integrated onto the built system, and which means that the need to custom engineer the remaining 30% of component will be required. So the subcondition will be certain reusable components are developed by the third party with no knowledge of internal design standards. The other can be the design standard for component interfaces that has not been solidified and may not conform to certain existing reusable components. And the other may be certain reusable components have been implemented in a language that is not supported on the target environment. So the consequences associated with these refined subconditions remain the same. For example, that is in this case 30% of software component must be customer engineered, but the refinement helps to isolate the underlying risk and might lead to easier analysis and response. This is how we get it. This is how we refine it. Give possible reason of why software is delivered late. There are hundreds of reasons for this, but you need to see what is going on in your. Mostly, the project manager has to understand that because he is doing the monitoring and control, that why the software is delivered late. The reason may be there may be certain criteria or the length or the duration which has been picked is not realizable, and say some unforeseen risk has happened, the technology has changed, or the manpower has left, or say some economic policies of the government has changed. There are various reasons. We'll see some of them. First is insufficient planning. So if you don't plan it well beforehand, unrealistic project plan, underestimated project scope, customer management changes, insufficient contingency planning, inability to track progress, that is poor project management, inability to track problem early and mitigating it, no checkpointing, so insufficient number of checkpointing, staff problem, technical complexity, that I said the technology changes or the technology is taken for the first time, team spirit, the problem in the team, unqualified resources, unskilled labor or unskilled resources, human resources. Product is unknown to the customer itself. Requirements came late. Requirement has insufficient quality, or the specification delivered late. Specification delivered software of insufficient quality. So these are number of reasons, but there can be other reasons also. As I said that the change in the policy of government, say the government has said that it has gone bankrupt or it has say demonetized something, and say the GDP has gone up or gone down, or said gone down. So what we are going to do? Dollar was say 66 rupees, or say 56 rupees when you started. Now dollar has gone up to say 76 rupees. So what you are going to do? You ask for say 10 lakhs. 10 lakhs for the project. Now it has gone to say 20. This dollar rate has gone to increase 20 rupees. So it will be More than that, how are you going to mitigate it? How are you going to pay the salary? How are you going to manage the resource? Right, steps that are required to perform statistical software quality assurance. What do you mean when we say statistical quality assurance? Statistical quality assurance reflects the growing trend throughout the industry to become more quantitative towards the quality. That is, we use some rules or principles. So for software, statistical quality assurance implies first is information about software defects is collected and organized. Defects. An attempt is made to trace each defect to its underlying cause, that is non-conformance to specification, design error, violation of standards, and poor communication with the customer. And using the Pareto principle, 80% of the defects can be traced to 20% of all possible causes. So only 20% of all possible causes, 80% defects you can find it from this 20%. Okay, these are called vital few. So only the vital few causes have been identified, and they are moved to correct the problems that have caused the defects. List different approaches for software sizing. There are various approaches. Fuzzy logic sizing, which include these function point sizing, standard component sizing, chain sizing. What is the software validation verification? We have understood this already. Validation means have you made the product right, and verification have you made the product right, and software validation is have you made the right product. Validation is with respect to your SRS requirements or requirement specifications, while the verification is with respect to the design, because what you have implemented or coded, it should be actually with respect to the design which you have been provided. So verification validation software testing is one element of a broader topic that is often referred to as verification validation. Verification refers to the set of activities that ensure that the software correctly implements a specific function. Validation refers to the different set of activities that ensure that the software has been built in, which is traceable to the customer requirement. So verification, are we building the product right? Validation is, are we building the right product? So the definition of verification and validation encompasses many activities that we refer to as the software quality assurance. Like software engineering activities, they provide a foundation from which quality is built. Analysis, design, coding methods, this act to enhance the quality by providing uniform techniques and predictable results. An FTR, that is formal technical reviews, helps to ensure the quality of products. And throughout the process, measures and controls they are applied to every element of software configuration. This helps to maintain the uniformity. So SCM also plays a vital part. So testing is the last phase in which the quality is assessed and errors are uncovered. What is meant by well-formed design class? Well-formed design class. This means that class must contain all the attributes which are related to that domain. Class must contain required function with respect to the domain. We are talking about a class, so just assume it to be a class of C, C++ or a Java class. In this class, you want that all attributes should be there, all functions should be there. All class must be connected by means of association. So if you have class A, class B, they may be connected by means of association, generalization, specialization, inheritance, or link. The cohesion and coupling must be understood and should be considered in designing. A class is well formed if its field and methods are well formed, and overriding methods preserve the types. A method is well formed if the body is well formed under the type environment. Methods, formal parameters, local variable declarations or fields, and specific or special variable return used for returning a value from the mention. And well-formed statement can be sequenced in standard fashion into a well-formed compound statement. What is white box and black box testing? See, first we'll talk about these are actually testing also and test case generation strategies also, or approaches also. So white box testing, also known as glass box testing or code testing, or structure testing, is a test case design method. So as I said, this is a test case design method that uses the control structure of the procedure design to derive test cases. Control structure of the procedure or procedure design. So using these white box testing methods, the software engineer can derive test cases that would guarantee that all independent paths within a module have been exercised at least once. We have exercised all logical decision on their true as well as false sides. Not only true but false also. We executed all loops at their boundaries and within their operational bounds. We exercise internal data structure to ensure their validity. Even though this white box testing seems to be an ideal method for testing, it does not guarantee failures from faulty data. And also, it is difficult to conduct such extensive and exhaustive testing in large organizations. And as a matter of fact, getting the 100% coverage is itself a Herculean task. Then we come to the black box testing. So black box testing, it is in this method, the analyst examines the specification to see what the program must do under various conditions. That is, this is also known as the functional testing. So test cases are then developed for a condition or a combination of conditions and submitted for processing. By examining the results, the analyst can determine if the specific requirements are satisfied. So we are basically interested in the requirements, whether a certain function is there or not, or is executing well or not with proper output which is expected. So black box testing attempt to find errors like this, incorrect or missing functions, whether the functionality is there or not, interface errors between modules, errors in data structure or external database access, behavior or performance issues or errors, initialization and termination errors. So how do the process model differ from each other? Process model, we are talking about the process models, or we can say also SDLC, software development life cycles. These are process models only. So a software process model is an abstract presentation of process methodology. See, waterfall is a process model, agile is a process model. They don't specify how to do things, but outline the type of things that are to be done. For example, waterfall identifies the phases that a project gone through or has to go through: requirement design, implementation, unit testing, integration testing, system testing, deployment. Without saying what artifacts to produce or what tools to use, it is not saying you to use such a thing or these tools or that tool, although the output of code is implied. Agile defines core values in the form of Agile Manifesto. What it says: we have to have a time box iterations, continuous response to change, but it doesn't say how long long your iteration should be, or how you go through responding a change. The spiral model is also a software process model. Waterfall, then we have agile, and now spiral. So software process methodology is a specific way of conducting a software project. So these are things like RUP, rationally defined process, and Scrum. So they define exactly what, when, and how various artifacts are produced. RUP and Scrum does that. It says you what, when, and how various artifacts are produced. So they might not be entirely explicit with all regard. For example, Scrum doesn't identify what documents to produce and not to produce, since it is focusing on delivering the content to the customer. But they define in some way the actions that members of the project team must deliver. Explain the software development process umbrella activities. So these umbrella activities are those activities which starts from the beginning and ends till the end. So these are the activities which runs in parallel with the various activities which are going on phase wise. So software process can be characterized like this. You have certain umbrella activities outside. Inside you have framework activity, like you have task set. For that you have tasks, you have milestones, deliverables, and software quality assurance points. So a common process framework is established, first of all, this one, by defining the small number of frameworks activities that are applicable to all software projects, regardless of their size or complexity. Then the number of task sets, each a collection of software engineering work tasks, project milestones, work products, and quality assurance points enable the framework activities to adapt to the characteristics of the software project and the requirement of the project team. Then comes the umbrella activities, such as quality assurance, software quality assurance, SCM, software configuration management and measurement, overlaying the process model. So these umbrella activities, they are independent of any framework activity, and they occur throughout the process, throughout the software development lifecycle. So software engineering umbrella activities like software project tracking and control, formal technical review, software quality assurance, software configuration management, document preparation and production, usability management, measurement, risk management, all of these. With neat diagram explain the translation of analysis model into design model. Now you have software analysis you have done, you want to convert it into design model. So how you convert it? This is the analysis model, this is the design model. How you translate the analysis model into a software design. So these are the, let us start with the outer world. So say control specification. Control specification, this will go where? The state transition diagram, this will go where? This will go to this first one. The data dictionary, let us see the data dictionary first. Because every part of analysis phase, whether it be data dictionary, ER diagram, data flow diagram, state transition diagram, control specification, data object description, or a process specification, say data flow diagram will go to architectural design. These two will go to state transition and control specification will go to component level design and interface design. In similar fashion, in ER diagram will go to the data design. This is how the translation can be done. So the software design sits at the technical kernel of the software design is the basic technical kernel of the software engineering. It is applied regardless of the software process model that is used. So beginning, once software requirement have been analyzed and specified, software design is the first of three technical activities: design, code, and test, that are required to build and verify the software. So each activity transforms information in a manner that ultimately result in validated computer software. So each of the element of the analysis model provides information that is necessary to create four design models required: component level design, interface design, architecture design, and data design. For a complete specification of design. So the flow of information during software design is we have shown in this figure. So software requirements manifested by the data, functional and behavior model feed the design task. Using one of the number of design methods, the design task produces a data design, an architecture design, an interface design, and a component design. So the data design transforms the information domain model created during analysis into the data structure that will be required to implement the software. The data objects and relationship defined in the ER diagram and the detailed data component depicted in the data dictionary provide the basis for the data design activity. And likewise, the part of data design may occur in conjunction with the design of software architecture. And more detailed design occurs at each software component is designed. The architectural design defines the relationship between major software elements of the software and the design patterns that can be used to achieve the requirements that have been defined for the system and the constraints that affect the way the architecture design patterns can be applied. In the architectural design representation, the framework of a computer-based system, this can be derived from the system specification, the analysis model, and the interaction of the subsystem defined within the analysis model. So the interface design describes how the software communicates within itself, with systems that interoperate with it, and with humans who use it. So an interface implies a flow of information and a specific type of behavior. Therefore, data and control flow diagrams provide much of the information required for interface diagram. And then comes the component level design transforms. The structure elements of the software architecture into a procedural description of software component. And information obtained from the PS, PSpec, CSpec, or STD serve as the basis for the component design. Need diagram, clean room software engineering approach. This is clean room process model. So this clean room approach makes use of a specialized version of incremental software model. Clean room, specialized version of incremental software model. So this is, you can see various pipelines. So pipeline of software increment is developed by small independent software engineering teams. As each increment is certified, it is integrated in the whole. So the functionality of the system grows with time. Overall system or product requirements are developed using the system engineering method. Once the functionality has been assigned to the software elements of the system, the pipeline of the clean room increment is initiated. So these are tasks which can occur, like the following tasks are there: increment planning. So a project plan that adopts the incremental strategy is developed. And the functionality of each increment, its project size or projected size, and the clean room development schedule are created. So special care must be taken to ensure that certified increments will be integrated in a timely manner. So these are various in these iterations. If you see, this whole software engineering goes like this. We have increment 1, and all these increments, you have all these RG, BSS. We'll see what these are. RG stands for requirement gathering. Then we have BSS, that stands for box structure specification. FD, that is formal design. CV, that is your correctness verification. CG, that is your code generation. CI, code inspection. And all these have TP, that is test planning for all these. Then SUT, that is statistical use testing. And then finally C, that is your final version, that is final code. And then again in increment 2, you do the same stuff. This is clean room software engineering approach. So you have requirement gathering, box structure specification, formal design, correctness verification, code generation, inspection, verification like this. then statistical planning, statistical use planning and certification. Explain in detail RAD model with neat diagram. RAD, this is Rapid Application Development Model. RAD, what it says. Rapid Application Development, RAD, is an incremental software development process model. Incremental software development model. Process model actually, SDLC, that emphasizes an extremely short development time. That is why the name is Rapid Application Development. So the RAD model is a high-speed adaptation of linear sequential model in which rapid development is achieved by using component-based construction. High speed of linear sequential model, linear sequential model was waterfall model. So we have a high speed, you increase the speed, say 1.5x or 2x or say 10x of the linear sequential model. This is achieved by using the component-based construction, RAD component-based construction. So if the requirements are well understood and project scope is constrained, the RAD process enables a development team to create a fully functional system within very short time. Because the requirements are understood, the project scope is constrained, only 16 to 90 days you can have a fully functional system. And this is used primarily for information system application. RAD approach encompasses these phases. Say team 1, team 2, team 3, team 1 is doing team 1 for 60 to 90 days. You have done business modeling, data modeling, process modeling, application gathering, and testing and turnover. So 16 to 90 days, you can deliver a fully functional system. So this business modeling, data modeling, process modeling, application generation, testing, and turnover, these are all part of your RAD. Okay. Explain the importance of decomposing the task. Decomposing the task, if you have a task, you want to decompose it, then you have various importance and advantages. First is ease of allocation. Easily allocated to team members. Ease of monitoring task. Easily status can be tracked. Ease of completion. Smaller tasks takes less time to complete. Proper management. Proper coordination with team. The manager can have proper coordination with proper management. High success rate. Completion of small tasks is easy and the project completion is assured. List the characteristics of software. What are the characteristics of software? Let us see. These are the characteristics of software. First is software is developed or engineered. It is not manufactured in the classical sense. Software doesn't wear out. Okay, let me explain you for a bit. Software is developed or engineered. It is not manufactured in the classical sense, so it can't be regarded just like as a hardware. Software require various understanding, various quality issues which are somewhat different from the hardware. It involves people also, and the requirement from the user, and there is an instability or the requirement because the understanding has to be very clear. The customer doesn't know what he wants, so it is engineered, developed, not manufactured. Software doesn't wear out. Once you make a software, it is not going to wear out. So, software failure, it is the failure if it was in the design or any other phase. But if it is stable, it doesn't wear out. Although the industry is moving towards component-based assembly, most software continues to custom build. And this is true. A software component should be designed and implemented so that it can be used in many different programs. This is what is the essence. So in the 1960s, we built scientific subroutine libraries that we are using right now also, like OpenGL, OpenCV, all these we are using. So these subroutine libraries reuse well-defined algorithm in an effective manner, but they had a limited domain of application. Like OpenCV can be used for computer vision only. So we have extended our view of reuse to encompass not only algorithms but also the data structure. Modern reusable component encapsulate both data and the processing applied to the data, enabling the software engineer to create new applications from this reusable part. For example, today's graphical user interface are built using reusable component. You use say Qt with C++ or C++ related paradigms. So this component that enable the creation of graphic windows, pull down menus by a variety of iteration mechanisms. So the data structure and processing detail required to build the interface are contained within the library of reusable components for interface construction. Give various risk component. What is alpha and beta testing? Give various risk component. You can have performance risk, cost risk, support risk, schedule risk. All these we have discussed already. What is alpha and beta testing? Alpha testing. Alpha testing is conducted at the developer side by the customer. So the software is used in a natural setting with the developer looking over the shoulder. So this is also known as the over-the-shoulder testing also. Of the user and recording errors or usage problems. So alpha tests are conducted in a controlled environment. Beta testing is conducted at one or more customer side by the end user itself of the software. So unlike alpha testing, the developer is generally not present. So the beta testing is a live application of the software in an environment that cannot be controlled by the developer. So the customer records all problems that are encountered during beta testing and reports these to the developer at regular intervals. As a result of problems reported during beta test, the software engineers make modification and then prepare for release of the software product to the entire customer base. What are debugging strategies? What are the debugging strategies? We have brute force, backtracking, and cause elimination. So brute force, backtracking, and cause elimination. In brute force, debugging is the most common, least efficient method. And brute force, what we do? We let the computer find the error philosophy. Memory dumps are taken, runtime traces are invoked, and the program is reloaded with write statement like printf. So this is how it is done. What about backtracking? Backtracking is fairly common debugging strategies that can be used successfully in small programs. Beginning at the site where a system has been uncovered, the source code is tracked backward manually until the site of the cause is found. Unfortunately, as the number of line increases, the number of potential backward path may become unmanageable. Third strategy, debugging, is cause elimination. So this is manifested by induction or deduction and introduces the concept of binary partition. Data related to the error occurrence are organized to isolate potential causes. A cause hypothesis is devised and the aforementioned data are used to prove or disprove the hypothesis. Alternatively, a list of all possible causes is developed and the tests are conducted to eliminate it. So if initial tests indicate that a particular cause hypothesis show promise, data are defined in an attempt to isolate the bug. So this was all for the descriptive question and answers of software engineering. Thank you so much. Take care.